and I'll be right back.
Country people, as human being body need balanced diet to take function well. Now so engine need better oil to take perform well. And the correct oil where car owners, generator users, mechanic and many others they enjoy now. Naibi Lubrisac oil. Yes, so Lubrisac oil get them for different variety like Lubrisac Plus, where be high performance multi-grade oil for petrol engine. Them get Lubrisac Super HD oil, where be high performance multi-purpose engine oil. What about the Lubrisac Optimum, ultra high multi-grade engine oil for new petrol engines? They still get Lubrisac Power Max, super performance diesel engine oil for heavy duty trucks and heavy duty generators. In our end for there, Lubrisac still get other kind of industrial oil like gear oil, hydraulic, turbine oil and compressor oil. Lubrisac product they available for filling stations and retail shop nationwide. So for correct engine performance, go for the quality Lubrisac oil. Lubrisac oil now another product from Sacros Industry Nigeria Limited.
Celebrating your family and friends has become cheap like a cup of tea, easy as ABC, and rapid like it should be. You can send birthday greetings and goodwill messages on Rapid FM for just 1,000 naira. Other events like weddings, child dedication, housewarmings, religious and government functions go for even less, 500 naira. Now, your loved ones have no excuse not to celebrate you rapidly on your day because all they have to do is visit our website at www.rapidfm965.com/request or call 07049-220965.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This is beyond partisan politics. It's unfortunate. And these are the kind of people who say they're leaders of this country. What example are they showing as leaders of the country?
Let's keep you abreast with the happenings in the polity.
Nigeria is on drip and on oxygen. And how can we get part of this?
I am an employer of the president. I pay the president's island. I pay the bills of the family. And he must protect me.
Standpoint. The center of all talks of politics.
Standpoint, Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. on Rapid 96.5 FM, Umahia.
More Nigerian is more Nigerian than any Nigerian.
This is Standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM, the sound of your city. I am Nkamiang John, the beloved, also known as the controversial. And just before we went on that break, I was bringing you up to speed with some of the latest developments immediately after while Abians and most Nigerians are still basking in the euphoria of announcements of initially suspended results of the gubernatorial and state House of Assembly polls. Well, if you haven't heard, the Nigerian Labour Congress has directed all workers to protest at all the offices of the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, nationwide, starting next week, following the lingering cash crunch across the country. And as I said, at some point during the course of the show, I will open the phone lines to engage you Nigerians and Abians alike to get your reactions to this development. But let's go back some 24 hours back. Yes, why? Because, as I said, Abians particularly are still basking in the euphoria of the win of the Labour Party and its candidate, Dr. Alex Oti, who was announced the winner of the March 18th gubernatorial polls. Now, this, of course, did not just come without some drama. Being with the first, we saw that collation of results was suspended on Monday, and we had to wait 2 extra days until the results were eventually announced. And the controversial Obingwa, I think I should come from Obingwa, right? Because I'm controversial. Well, the controversial Obingwa local government area of the state results were eventually collated, and of course, INEC gave its reviewed result, after which it declared Dr. Alex Oti of the Labour Party the winner of the March 18 gubernatorial elections. Now, talking about Dr. Alex Oti, he had an acceptance speech, after he was declared winner of the March 18th gubernatorial elections. And he has made several promises to Abians that under his watch there will be a change. There will be a change of the narrative. There will be a change of the scenario as far as government and the people are concerned. But what is more interesting is the fact that the Abia State Governor, Dr. Okezie Victor Ikpeazu, congratulated the winner of the March 18 gubernatorial election in the state, Dr. Alex Oti, appealing to losing parties not to distract the incoming governor with litigations. Is that sportsmanship or not? Is that not a democratic democratic character of an incumbent already congratulating the incoming? Well, the governor said, having to deal with court cases when he came on board for about 3.5 years, he understands the distraction it caused as a leader. And he was quoted as saying, and I quote, "Having myself spent about 3.5 years in different courts and having experienced firsthand the distractions such cases can cause as a leader, I appeal to every candidate in this election not to distract the incoming administration with court cases so that they will settle down and deal with the very demanding business of governance. Let us break this negative trend of subjecting our governors to endless litigation and allow them to concentrate on providing good governance." A statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary, Onyebuchi Emeka Manka, quoted the governor as saying. Now, the governor also remarked that Dr. Oti has fought a long battle over a very long period of time and deserves commendation for his staying power and resilience. Now, that's coming from the Abia State Governor, Dr. Okezie Victor Ikpeazu. And what sportsmanship and statesmanship on the part of the governor? And so, let's also take further reactions. Now, the candidate of the Action People's Party, in the person of Mascot Orji Kalu, also joined the frill of congratulating Dr. Alex Oti. This is what he had to say after the results were announced.
The candidate for Action People's Party, APP. Just a few minutes ago, the INEC has announced and confirmed Dr. Alex Oti as the governorship winner of the 2023 governorship election. I want to thank all those who participated in this election. Though the elections was marred with a lot of irregularities, at the end of the day, one person must emerge as winner. I want to congratulate Dr. Alex Oti for having been announced as the winner of the 2023 governorship election. I want to also let him know that the hope of Abians are resting on him to deliver on the mandatory promise. I wish to also thank Abians for the ability for them to come out and vote, and also thank them for the opportunity to have canvassed ground for the governorship of the state. At the end of the day, there must only be one winner, and I wish and I hope that we can all come together to make Abia a better place. To Governor Alex again, His Excellency, I wish you all the best in the move of becoming the governor of Abia State. Thank you very much. God bless.
All right, mascot Oji Kalu there. Congratulating Dr. Alex Oti, and of course, also thanking Abians for coming out to vote and giving. I think I appreciate that. Yes, giving him the opportunity to have, sought their vote in the bid to become the governor of Abia State. Well, I did tell you I was expecting my guest. He is here. I would like to give him the title of Dr. Richard Okoro. Richard, it's great to have you join me this morning.
Thank you very much.
I can see you're still basking in the euphoria of the win and the announcement of the result. Personally, I mean, you are an election observer. You have been part of several elections from as way back as 1999. And what was different for you with regards to the March 18th gubernatorial and State House of Assembly elections here in Abia State?
Okay, the big euphoria was on the first election of the presidential.
Yeah.
And then there was high expectations. Abias came out in mass like I've never seen before, because it has been voter apathy all this while, and we've been wondering when will Nigerians stand up, especially the Southeasterners, to say, let us also come out in mass like our brothers in the northern states. So at that presidential, it was like that. It was like that. I saw people come with their food as early as, with water prepared. Even those who wouldn't stand for a long time came with chairs, But after that, and then the subsequent thing that happened afterwards, then it seems that people went back to their shells, having this confidence thrown overboard that Shebi, we told you that there won't be anything good coming out from Egypt. So something like that. So that was what happened on the 18th. A lot of people didn't come out. A lot of people lost interest. A lot of people were still angry because of what happened on the previous election. So, but at the same time, I also saw resilience. People were like, we want this change. We must keep pushing, no matter how bad it is. And I can see people also saying, if I perish, I perish. Because, before that election, there were some clips of videos that was flying viral, people threatening to put somebody's head in that election if anything goes wrong, or it's either you're with them or you're not. So some people backed out. Some people felt what happened in Lagos or other parts of Nigeria might also happen here, because people were beginning to see some sort of desperation, sort of. So these were the things that made the 18th not to have that flair, people had really wanted. But at the end of the day, people still spoke their mind. And for us that were at the field, a whole lot of things also happened that did not happen earlier on, but we were also trying to manage it, because ours is not to take laws into our hands, but rather was to compel our reports, if possible, get them on video or pictures, pictorial evidences, so that it wouldn't be like you're making up your story or you're being one-sided. So that was what the civil society did. And I'm happy. As of yesterday, the European Union has taken a stand, the United States government has also taken a stand, condemning the shabbiness of the whole process.
No, I personally, I was discussing with a friend late last night, and I told her that I appreciate the position of the European Union because they fingered everybody.
Yeah.
As far as the European Union is concerned, nobody was left out. Even the electorate was fingered in the turnout of events. So, for me, what are the lessons to learn from the February 25th Presidential National Assembly election and the March 18 gubernatorial and state assembly elections?
The obvious was very clear. INEC has all it takes. It has the ability to do the right thing. That was the difference. That was very clear. Why did you wait until 12-1 for some polling units to get matured, even those in Umuahia town? Let's not talk about far distances. And then you saw the difference. In 18th March, yes, people were already seated by 8:30. So why didn't they do the same thing earlier on? And this is
but they came out. I'm not holding brief for INEC, but based on information I have, INEC did say that, which was one of the reasons why the initial rec was removed from the entire process, because the blame fell on him that he bungled the logistics arrangement for materials to arrive various polling units on time during the presidential election.
But that wasn't the only case in Abia.
Yeah.
So what happened in other parts of Nigeria?
Well,
so why didn't they remove the same wreck? The wrecks in Lagos, wrecks in the Kano, wrecks in...
At least I can talk for the one in Abia.
Okay.
I cannot talk for the ones in other states. But I can also say this, that INEC took several steps. Maybe in Abia, yes, they chose to remove the wreck. In other states, maybe the wrecks were not so culpable. And so but there were steps taken on the part of INEC. So, in as much as INEC has in some ways admitted to the lapses witnessed during the presidential elections, was it completely INEC's fault?
Yes, it was. We are talking about, I gave you 350 billion naira. That was what you requested to deliver. It was given to you, 350 billion, taxpayers' money. Now, Professor Mahmood is not a new person in conducting an election. So, does it mean that they don't take record or recognizance of the past elections, shortfalls, and then plan ahead? So that is why everybody is saying that you don't have any excuse. The electoral law was provided, and people wanted to kill Buhari for not signing, and eventually he signed. So everything has been given to you. You kept giving us high hopes that the beaver machine will not fail, that they were perfectly working in order. And then we came on that day and saw people struggling to log in. And you told us that your special codes already...
Is it possible that what we suffered on the 25th, where the beavers failed, was more of human error and not necessarily technical error?
That's why I say we're blaming INEC. INEC did a training of ad hoc staff prior to the election. So it's not that they were not trained, but we discovered that some people were changed just that morning, and people brought in their favorites who were not trained per se, or who are not conversant
with the technology.
Exactly. So whose fault is it? Is it not INEC? Who is the one that brings in the ad hoc staff? Who is the one that recruits? It's INEC. That's why I said I gave you what you asked me to give you to deliver a job, and I gave you 350 billion naira. And now you couldn't come on time. You're bringing people that do not know how to operate the machines you said you bought. And then what other excuse are you giving us? And you told us that you upload the result right from the spot. And then up till even the last election, people, so many of those INEC staff or ad hoc staff refused to do the same uploading of results. And you were supposed to paste a copy. I didn't see where they pasted any result copy. So if we're talking about transparency and accountability here, for 350 billion naira, then INEC is to be held accountable for all the mistakes that happened. From the side of the politicians, which is snatching of ballot boxes, and then
Toggery, intimidation.
The same question people, even the European Union is asking aid. Have you heard or seen anyone that was arrested? Even when there are evidences that people were mentioning names, Like the young man that was beat up in Ojibingwa, he mentioned names of those he recognized or he knows their names. Has they been arrested? The people that were caught carrying snatching of boxes, both in Lagos, who has been arrested? The MC Olomo, or popular or unpopular or infamous MC Olomo, has he been arrested? And things like that. We saw where people heads were broken. Labour Party and agent was shot dead in Lagos, and people are still walking free. And then what do you expect people to do next election, to come out again? So these are the critical questions that we keep asking. So if we could be spending our hard-earned money, on taxpayers' money, on issues like elections, and it becomes a sham, like as shameless as it is, my brother, we're not ready for this democracy we're talking about. You know, people always hide under this, I call it, is it illusion or whatever? Nigeria is still a nascent. Nascent what? How many years is Nigeria, my brother? From 1999.
Yeah, but we also have to be truthful here. Democracies like that of America, taking them over 200 years, and even in 200 years, let's look at the election that brought in Joe Biden. The issues are still on the table. They're still in court. Donald Trump, a few days ago, was to be arrested because of the role he played. He has been fingered in the fact that he made it possible for Russia to infiltrate the American electoral system.
Agreed.
Good.
But did the Americans sleep on him? If it is Nigeria, that's okay. He's a president. He has been sworn in. Let bygone be bygone. We are in nascent democracy. That's what they keep telling us.
We can, in as much as we tend to compare ourselves to these developed nations, we still haven't gone through the process they have gone through. We are still finding our feet, and that's why personally I would rather refer to Nigeria as an evolving nation rather than a nascent democracy.
We have a different view on that. I'll give you an example. If an iPhone 11 comes out today in the United States, within 1 week you see it in Nigeria. True or false?
True.
Beautiful. Now, a whole lot of these people who have been trained in abroad in human capacity development and various capacities. And then we all like beautiful things. Any television series that comes out now, we buy.
True.
Good. Now we are about entering into the 5G network?
Yes.
Because that is the trend. Beautiful. The American people that they keep using as an excuse did all the somersaulting, all the trial and errors in their own time because the technologies that are now were not there. Now they've gone through that process, just like you, for instance, or me.
But we too are also going through the somersaulting. We started with option A4.
Good.
Gradually we graduated to card reader. Now we're using BVAS. It's not the same technology.
No, but what we're saying is, if you jump from Mercedes V-Boots to Mercedes G-Wagon,
yes,
won't you be prepared to look through the manuals before you begin to drive the car?
Now that is the problem that we haven't addressed as a people.
Now,
because we have driven a Mercedes-Benz V-Boot, the assumption is that it's the same dynamics, is the same principles that govern driving a G-Wagon. So we don't bother to read the manual.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. If you are looking for a G-Wagon, so is it your fault or is it the manufacturer's fault that gave you a manual and
you didn't read it?
Now, to buttress it further to the present situation, did INEC not improve within 25th February and the 18th of March? Was it not the same INEC? Was it not the same ad hoc staff they used? Was it not the same BVAS machine they used? Did they bring a new one?
They reprogrammed the BVAP machine.
No, the program is
they reprogrammed it. No. And then there were changes in some of the personnel.
That is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying. When we train in the civil society, we know if it is for 20 persons, we make room for 30. So that if somebody drops sick or is bereaved or incapacitated, then we can always have from our reserve. And that's what every person who is thinking proactively will do.
True.
So what we are saying is that the formatting they did was to give way for the data to come in for fresh election. So it's not because that they reformatted the BVAS that made it to work better. No, it's the same BVAS. The thing is that when they saw the criticism from the United States, from all these donor agencies, African Union, they told themselves that we need to improve on our credibility. And that was what they tried to do. And it was far much better, despite the fact that there were still unseen hands here and there. And that is what we're saying. Now, if you want to learn fast, you learn from the mistakes of your predecessor, true or false?
True.
Good. So we don't need to wait for what happened to Mr. ABC to happen to Richard, for Richard to learn his lessons. That's just what I'm saying. So the lessons that we are learning from the American people, from the European people, from the British people, about their own past mistakes and experiences is what is bringing us to speed to increase or to be at peace with what is happening currently internationally. I give you examples. Where Malaysia, that is now big in production of oil and development in all human capacity, we are begging for jobs here in Nigeria. The same thing with India and Pakistan. I remember when we were in school at government college, our literature teachers, chemistry teachers were all Indians. But like the one for literature was always making us laugh, because how can you be teaching us things fall apart, Okonkwo, and you can't pronounce Okonkwo? You know, that was the Indians and all that. Now these people have gone back to develop their countries. Did they have to wait for the 250 years America has been to get to where they are? They are not. They only leveraging on the experiences and the the trial and errors of other countries, and then they pick up from there. That's why we're in the jet age.
I agree with you, but the fact still remains that we're not Indians. We're not Malaysians.
So what makes us different?
We're not Americans.
Nigerians
we are
who
Nigerians.
are doing well in America.
We are, and yes, because the system, the structures there help them function optimally. We do not have those systems here.
This is not about the system.
It's about the system.
It's the human mechanism that is affecting the system. For instance,
where the system is non-existent,
the system is the law. The electoral law is the system. We said we are moving to beavers, and you took time to go and study the beavers in abroad. True of us came back and convinced us that this is the solution to our problem. When you do problem tree analysis, is to find solution to problems. Now you've done your problem tree analysis from the last election, and you came up with the notion that beavers is the solution. Give me 350 billion, I'll give you the best result. We gave it to you. Now, which other human error? Now tell me what happened in Rivers State, for instance. Is it because of the system, or is it because of the human nature we are that have refused to learn? Or do the right thing.
That's the point.
It's not this. Now, if, like I said, all these people go to US during the pro-election period, the G5 were traveling to America, Europe, London, as if they were going to Aba. Every weekend they are there. By next day they are back here. Were they not seeing the systems in place in that place? Were they not enjoying it? Were they not leveraging on the support of the taxpayers' money there? So what makes you think that you come back here and you wouldn't want to sacrifice? You want to be afraid of the future. You want to amass grab as much money you can keep for your great-grandchildren. That is the problem we have, not the system. The system I'm talking about here is the process. The process is perfectly okay because, like I said, you go out to the market, you see this beautiful chair, you are in love with it because it's perfectly done. The people that were doing it in Turkey or wherever, is it not people who have the interest of their country at heart? The same Singapore we're talking about now has a very beautiful city and a very wonderful economy. Well, we're Singapore in 1960. The same with Dubai. As of 1960, Dubai was still a desert.
True.
So it is people's willingness. For instance, we saw what happened yesterday in Abia, or in the last 4 days. A woman said, no, because I'm a woman of God. Because there are so many men of God who are not doing the right thing. But she said, because I'm a woman of God and a mother, I will stand by what...
Are we not making a mountain out of a molehill? Professor Nenauti was doing her job.
That is what I'm saying.
So why make it look as if she did something out of the ordinary?
What we are doing is that people in the same position she is. I can make reference to Rivers State. with due respect to the
Abia
people
is not
there.
River State.
No, and what I'm saying is that people that are in the same position that she was, or in Enugu, or in what do you call it, Kaduna, where we were seeing a result trending, and then suddenly overnight, or same thing with Adamawa, people made whatever happened there to happen. So she also would have done what she wanted to do. That's not what I'm saying. It's not that she's not doing her job, but what we're saying is the issue we are discussing about Americans, developed countries, that's what I'm saying, that here the system could also would have been changed by her, just like we see some judgment.
No, I think
Supreme Court that are crazy.
Think if we have more people doing their jobs the way she has done, without necessarily becoming celebrity for doing what you expected to do, maybe yes, things will change.
Beautiful. That's what we're saying. That the system I'm talking about, referring to, there are two types of systems.
Yes.
One is the process, which is the law.
True.
Then the other one is the human being.
The human part of it, yes.
Which makes us Africans or Nigerians.
True.
Good. Now, in this midst of Nigerians, you still see some exceptional people that say, I want to stand out of the crowd. That's where I'm going to. So it's not that people are praising the woman that she's. It's just that when Dora Akulia, late, well, blessed memory was, she was known for one thing. And
she stood her ground.
Good. And that is why people are saying, do we still have such rare people in our midst? And that is why some people...
But even, it doesn't that also speak to the fact that we do not have a system that throws up the proper persons, the right quality, character for visionary leadership at all levels?
That is the same thing I said earlier in this program. How many of those people that broke people's head, that snatched ballot boxes, that beat up people, who were seen, recognized, known names and known faces, has been arrested? Now, if, let's say, a wreck or a returning officer is found culprit of derailing the process of the democracy, and the person is jailed for 10 years without option of fine, tell me, won't other people sit up? So that's what we're saying. And that's why the European Union is saying that the electoral process is fraud and the government is not doing much to improve on it. You keep telling, if in the next 4 years.
But isn't it also in the place of you and I to test the instrument of the law, to activate that part of the law that will serve as a deterrent to such miscreants acting up in 4 years' time?
Now, they told us that why they are choosing professors and erudite scholars because those people have integrity. But me and you know now that so many of them are also as hungry as any other person that is.
But that's a known fact. I mean, they were on strike for over 8 months.
Then
so it was. I think it's a known fact for us to assume that a hungry person cannot be baited.
But this is not the first time. They've been there all this while. They've been doing the same thing, whether you were owing or they were old. But what we're saying is, even if you think they would have compromised, why did you bring them in?
Exactly.
Now, we're also saying that the civil societies are also an option. But does that mean that civil societies, everybody will not do the same thing? Now, what we're saying is the only way to sanitize this whole madness is to punish people that violate the law. And that is why America is finding it difficult to let Donald Trump go after 4 years. That is why if you kill an American today, if it takes them more than 20 years, they will still bring you down. That is to tell other countries or other people that touch not any American and you think you go scot-free. We can spend 20 billion to get you down, whether it takes us 20 years. That is what we're saying. Apply a very strict law where whether you're a youth corper, whether you're a professor, whether you're an adult staff, and you go contrary against the law, you'll be punished. What we're saying is that people are not punished, and that's why people still do what they do.
Oh, well, if you're just joining us, this is Standpoint on Rapid 96.5 FM. Time really not our friend. I have been speaking with my very good friend. I like to call him Dr. Richard Okoro.
I'm not a doctor.
He's not a doctor, but I wish I'm in a position to give him an honorary doctor. He's a man who has followed elections for so many years. He was part of the of civil society that monitored the February 25th Presidential National Assembly elections, and of course the March 18th gubernatorial and state assembly elections. He has seriously highlighted areas that need particular attention. I would hope that not just civil society, not just the European Union, but that every cross-section of Nigeria takes time out to do a post-mortem of the 2023 polls so as to prepare the electoral umpires, the electorate, and government ahead of the 2027 elections.
Well, it still lies on the law. Like I keep saying, in the next 4 years,
yes,
they would find one or two things telling us that this is a perfect or better one. And then at the end of the day, well, one other story or the other comes up from either the people who are implementing it or the people who made the law themselves. So I just hope that people begin to see the mantra of P2B. You know, initially people said he doesn't have structure. I mean, we were asking them, who is the structure? Who is the structure? The structure are the people. And when I had one, I remember the person that said that they underestimated P2B, and that's why they never knew he could win as much as Nasarawa, Benue, I mean, all those middle belt, states, because they keep believing in their strength.
No, but is it that it is about P2B or about the fact that Nigerians are waking up?
Do you know why P2B carried so much influence on the people? A lot of people think it's because this Shehu Kuti was saying that he's cashing in on opportunities and opportunistic and all that. It is not. People looked at his profile. People looked at what he did when he was a governor. People looked at his lifestyle. That's the charisma he's carrying. If he leaves Labour Party now and goes to...
But is that enough for the largest black nation upon planet Earth with multiple complicated challenges?
My brother, if this election was not tampered with, he would have gone... He may not have won the presidency, but he would have shown them that there is a third force that can shake the country. And for every average Nigerian, that is what we've been looking for. Even here in Abia State.
Is it about shaking the country or changing the trajectory of what Nigerians are currently faced with? As you and I are talking, Labour is already calling for a shutdown of the system from next week, yes, on the pretext of cash crunch. Is that the way to go?
It is when you shake a system that changes occur. For instance, with the shake that Labour Party has done across both Enugu and other places, rivers, don't you think that the next incoming governor will begin to do some things right, knowing that it may not going to be huru for him or her in the next 4 years?
Isn't that in itself going to be slow down the rate of development? Because the governor might be coming with a plan, and then he has a complicated state house of assembly that in the name of checkmating the executive begins to slow down the inclusive and external growth rate of the economy of the state, infrastructural development of the state, human capital development of the state.
Now, if like most of them will do plans, they're like building skyscrapers, in the air, without knowing what the reality is. So once you come into the system and the reality dawns on you, then you don't need to say, okay, I have to do this. There's something that other developed countries do that help them a lot, and that is the town hall meetings they do. In that town hall meetings, you explain to the citizenry, this is the situation. And in most times, in those town unions, people make contributions. So if you want to listen, you listen and pick vital information that could help you. But the problem that we have governors that don't have 150, 250 special advisors who advise and they don't listen, or who they don't take their advice. So when you do constant town hall meetings with the citizens and you explain to them the situation, the former governor of Akwa Ibom was doing that regularly. Then you hear people, intelligent people, talking to you and telling you the things to do. And if they know that you are sincerely carrying them along, my brother, they will not fight against you. people rise up against government because they feel you're not being sincere with them. Look at what happened during the COVID-19 palliative sharing. I was always on the radio challenging the government. During immunization, you go house to house. During NEPA bill distribution,
you go house to house.
So why is it that during palliative distribution,
you can't go house to house?
You want to use Stan Union president. So, and you know there are so many non-indigents.
Isn't that as a result of the kind of politics that we play? Because, I mean, a Dr. Alex Oti, for instance, cannot say that there are no individuals or groups that contributed to his success at the polls.
Exactly.
So certain concessions must have been made, certain agreements must have been made in the build-up to him achieving the feat that he has achieved. So wouldn't he keep his side of the agreement?
Now, there are basic foundations in governance. Like, let's use Abia State now. The current governor signed into the Open Government Partnership, talking about transparency. It's a World Bank process where everything will be, your budget will be transparent, you publish it, you must pass the budget before 31st of December of that year, not entering the next
year.
Because before now, you could see budget being passed by May or June, and by December, the whole money. So this is of doing business and all that. So if the new governor comes in, it is now his duty to look at some of these things and say, okay, we'll continue with this. Not because it was a PDP government, so we're abandoning it. Then we developed a 30-year strategic plan for the state.
How does a government that may not survive more than 8 years, do a 30-year plan?
Yeah, the reason is because the government is a continuum. And the plan is...
But we've seen governments...
It's not for you.
We've seen governments that come in and say, oh, because it was a PDP government.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, because it was a APC government. We are not continuing.
That's what I'm saying, that it shouldn't be like that. We all know what happened to the second Niger bridge.
Yes.
It wasn't started by Buhari. But it's a delight to everybody that, okay, it was...
It's been completed.
So that's what we're saying. The 30-year strategic plan is not for you to accomplish it in 8 years or 4 years. But it is a roadmap for you to look at the critical needs of Abia State. Then select the ones you can do. Like the say Rome was not built in a day.
True.
So you start a process, and then people begin to see the transparency and honesty in what you're doing. If you say you're constructing a road, for instance, what is the durability and the quality of the road you're constructing? And if it is a quality road, won't you and I confess that it's a quality road?
True.
That's what you're saying. So when there is a transparency in what you're doing, people will follow you. That was why I said one of the driving forces that Peter Obi had was the antecedent he had in Enugu. They see him as a simple man who does not believe in grasping and carrying
Ghana must go
money, sharing. They see him carry his bag by himself. He wasn't doing it when he came out for presidential election. He has been doing it before he was the governor. After he was governor, he has been carrying his bag alone without going with too much escort.
Well, Richard, it's been fun having this conversation. We will continue this conversation because now we're out of the election and politicking season. We're now going into the doing proper. So we must be able to give the leadership some direction, some guidance as to what the expectations are with regards to Abians and Nigerians alike. I thank you so much for making out time to be with us on this edition of Standpoint. I do apologize. I did say at the start of the show I was going to take calls, but like I always say, time does run out on you when you're having fun, especially when you're having a conversation like the one Richard and I have had. But regardless, let's keep the conversation going on our social media platforms. If you're not part of our online community, you should be part of it. All you need to do is follow and like Rapid 96.5 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and send your comments and views, and trust us to engage you online. I am Nkamian John, the beloved, also known as the controversial. Special thanks to everyone for tuning in. Tomorrow, Friday, will be another day and another edition of Standpoint. Do stay with us.
Let's talk politics, dynamics, and permutations.
It is a concern that we have for our country, Nigeria. This is beyond